to TikTok training here at Helium 10. And we've got somebody else next to me here. Jared, how's it going?
It's going awesome.
All right, where are you from?
I live in Wichita, Kansas, a hotbed of e-commerce. So yeah.
Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah.
A hotbed. I don't think I've ever heard those two phrases together.
Yeah, I think I'm the only seller in the area.
You originally started on Amazon, or where did you start?
Yeah, I started selling on Amazon about 3 years ago, and so just purely Amazon, and then we started selling on TikTok in November of 2023. So
Okay.
quite a while.
So the brand you're selling on TikTok now is what you had started on Amazon a while back.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that brand? And tell us a little bit about it.
All right. Okay. So we are a men's underwear brand. So I developed an ABCD pouch classification for a guy's package. So men's underwear is traditionally designed like guys are all Ken dolls, like they don't have genitals, right? And so women are different shapes and sizes. Guys are different shapes and sizes. They deserve to have products that fit their unique shape and size, right? So I was like 20 years in aerospace. Then I worked at a pet toy company for like 5 years, and totally makes sense. Logical progression from like a career standpoint, like to start a men's underwear brand after we exited out of that other that business. And so my wife and I went and we started this brand. And,
Nice.
so I designed stuff for 6 months and then started selling on Amazon. So
How did you do in your first full year on Amazon?
we did $1 million in our first 11 months, first 11 months. So we hit some figures like literally on New Year's Eve on our first year. And then we did 3.5 million our first full year, and then did just under 6 million last year.
So first full calendar year on Amazon, was that 2022? 2021?
22. Yeah.
2022. Okay. And when did you hear about TikTok Shop and that opportunity? Or was that did you go somewhere else? Did you do any Walmart or Shopify or things like that?
No, we were just focused on Amazon, and then we started to hear about TikTok. Well, actually, in China, some friends in China, they're selling Douyin, and I went and visited some of their live stream studios there in Guangzhou, and I was like, "Holy cow! This is where like selling is going from a live streaming standpoint." They're doing these crazy numbers on Douyin, and so I saw that in early 2023. And then I heard about it. And so we got a shop set up like in October of 2023, but we really weren't selling, we didn't really do much for about a month.
So that was only a couple months after it started, right? It was 2023.
We were pretty early.
Okay. All right. So then when do you really start to kind of like hit your stride? And then I remember, didn't you tell me before that your Amazon business was struggling a little bit, like, or with profitability, and that TikTok helped you out, or was that not the case? Like your Amazon was always strong since day one?
No, I mean, it's a really good point. We were going really strong, right? But we were growing so fast. And this is a big problem with a lot of sellers and that a lot of people don't talk about is cash flow, right?
Yeah.
And so like we're profitable, we're growing fast. We brought a ton of inventory in for Q4, right? And so we had all this inventory come in, and then, Amazon stops, they're delaying payments because of like for reserves and things like that. And so in November 2023, I started to freak out. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to have enough cash. I don't know how I'm going to cash flow everything through like December and January. For the first time in my life, I thought, hey, I might miss my mortgage payment. I'm like, how am I going to do this? And so like, I'm praying like, how am I going to make this work? Like I've never been in this position my whole life. And so that's the problem, is like you can have success selling, but like managing cash flow is like super, super important. And so like we were praying, like, what are we going to do? I needed like $100,000 in like 6 weeks, right? So it's like, what are we going to do? And so like, the answer, we're praying, and the answer, God told us, you need to live stream on TikTok. And so I'm like, that sucks. Like, I don't want to live stream on
TikTok. So you were on TikTok already, but just the sales weren't really doing much for
it wasn't really getting much. And it was easy to set up and get started on TikTok, but we just didn't have much from a sales standpoint. And we don't have like a lot of affiliates and that sort of stuff. We weren't doing anything. It was just our listings, and we had some branded videos that we put on there, but it really wasn't very much. And then we started live streaming the week before Black Friday in 2023, and it just like absolutely blew up like overnight. So like initially when you start selling on TikTok, they have like a 200 order limit per day, and we were hitting that in like 15 minutes. We'd go live, and then we were hitting that.
So then your sales were getting cut off at that moment. Yeah, I remember.
Really go live, and it was like,
is that still the case now? Do you know?
There is limits. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
okay.
So, but it was a big pacing thing for us when we started. And so we literally like hitting that 2,000, we're doing $7,000 in sales like in 15, 20, 30 minutes. And then we're like, oh, okay, we're done for the day. So we'd live stream a little more and say, hey, but we had to be careful about like directing traffic off platform, right? So where you could say, hey, go buy this on Amazon. And so we didn't really want to do that. So,
but I would assume you would see some bumps on your Amazon side because of the activity that was happening on TikTok as well.
Yeah, well, initially a lot of people were afraid to buy on TikTok, right? So they're like, "Oh, the China's going to get my credit card or whatever," and so we were seeing like a 50 to 80% uptick in our Amazon sales when we go live on TikTok. It was like amazing. So people were like, they would just search for us on Amazon, so much so that we actually went and increased our price on TikTok. Or sorry, on Amazon when we would go live. Right? So I started like, if you're gonna buy from me on Amazon, because there was crazy subsidies when we first started selling on TikTok. I mean, they were giving all these discounts and free shipping and all these different things. And so I'm like, hey, if you're gonna go buy from me on Amazon, you're gonna pay a higher price. And so every time I go live, I'd literally go move my price up $5 and $10. And then because of that traffic off that halo effect coming off TikTok, we were able to go and just like increase our price across the board. So then we're able to hold that. So we just moved it up there and then left it.
So then 2024 was your first full calendar year on TikTok.
Yeah.
What did you end that year with sales just on TikTok?
Just on TikTok, we were at 1.2 million.
Okay.
On TikTok.
And then what were you on Amazon last year then?
We did 4.5 million.
Okay. So 4.5 million. So five up to getting halfway to 8 figures already just from those two platforms. Now what are some big wins and losses? Obviously like initially that was a little hard to have to deal with that limit, but any huge, oh my God, this was terrible, like I can't believe this happened, or like some amazing sales day that sticks out in your mind?
No, I mean we did some $10,000 days, and then Black Fridays. I think we did 12,000 was our biggest day, and so those were great. Now we had some issues. There are some times where TikTok has been really militant, and they move the policies around, just like Amazon. They move the policies around, and so they change shipping dispatch times. And so we do MCF, so we ship Amazon MCF for most of our orders. And there's times where Amazon has struggled with MCF to hit the shipping time.
Yeah, like how you have to have a tracking number by a certain time. Now, of last year, over $1 million of sales, approximately how much % of that is because of your live, as opposed to just like organic orders, or we'll talk about this in future modules, like any kind of affiliates promoting your products? What would you say is the breakdown there?
For our brand, we're very brand heavy. A lot of people, when they're selling TikTok, they're like, oh, they're using affiliates and doing really well there. That's an opportunity for us. For us, it's mostly branded. If you look at our breakdown of that 1.2 million, it's like a third live stream, a third product card, and a third posts. And so, but we think a lot of that product card sales is actually associated with the live stream. So where they're seeing us on the live stream, and then they might go to the store, and then they look at it, and then they're actually buying on the product card. So we think that the attribution is not really great there. And so we think more of that's actually coming from the live stream. But when we first started, I mean, we were like 90% live stream. So it was like all live stream. And then we gradually picked up the post on the post side. And the product card stuff is just really like grown like the last like 6-8 months.
Okay.
So
now, obviously when TikTok first started, and plus when anybody starts, there might be little bonuses and subsidies, like you said, but now you're a pretty mature seller, so you're kind of like the norm. Now that you're in the norm status, how would you compare profitability? Would you say you're more profitable on TikTok than Amazon, or it's kind of the same is how you worked it out?
Yeah, we're more profitable on TikTok still because the fees are a lot lower, and overall the advertising expense is lower, right? To get the sales. So I mean, it's a function. We could do more on TikTok if we spent more at a lower ROI, right? With the GMV, and we might talk about that later with the GMV ads. But yeah, we're more profitable on TikTok, and they do different campaigns and other things where they're co-funding coupons, and there's all these different initiatives they have going on all the time. So you have to, from a seller standpoint, you have to stay on top of these different campaigns that are going on, both from a live streaming, from a new product. And so you'll see those on your seller dashboard, the different things that are offered to you, depending on the category and depending on your account.
Okay. Now, thinking back to when you first got started on TikTok, was the process pretty easy? You just used the same, like your LLC or whatever that you had used for Amazon, and just pretty... And no surprises there as far as like something you didn't have ready that TikTok required that Amazon didn't, or it was pretty straightforward?
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward. There's some issues with us because we're in Kansas, like with the address validation because of our city that was kind of a little. So some of the things in the system are not quite as mature, like depending where you're at, and so like they kept rejecting my application for my account, so I had to try that like 20 times. keep trying again. And so we finally got it to go through, but it was just like nitpicky little things. So it was not like, okay, too difficult. So it was actually really, really easy. So like, as far as the listings and the setup, it was surprisingly easy. I worked with an agency to start with because I was a little scared, kind of apprehensive. And then once I got in there, I'm like, oh, this is like way simple. This is way easier versus Amazon. Once you actually just like spent like a couple hours on it, it's really pretty easy.
Okay. And then you mentioned how in the beginning on Amazon, you were running into cash flow issues because of those reserves. Yeah. Are the reserves on TikTok in the beginning or at any time, or how often do you get your money on TikTok Shop?
Yeah, that's the other thing that really helped us with TikTok. Now, as you have initially when you start, they're going to hold things a little longer and they're going to pay a little slower, but not too bad. So like for us right now, TikTok literally pays 1 day after delivery.
Wow.
and so I get multiple payments every day. So that's the nice thing about it. The cash flow is like really, really good from a TikTok standpoint. Even if the margins were even lower, the cash flow is way better once you have some history there. But even if you don't, like we got to that point really pretty quick where they're paying really pretty fast. And so, but when you're having a new account, it may be 7 to 14 days like after delivery. You would just have to establish a history of returns, right?
All right. I hope you guys are excited about TikTok Shop with these first few modules. Let's get into more of basically how you get started in the next set of modules. We'll see you there.